Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today we have a new legendary card officially announced as going to be released soon inside the game, probably via a special challenge as they normally do. And I would expect it to be a continue challenge as well with a new continue option, so all of you ought to be able to hopefully unlock this legendary card. Now it's called the Ram Rider. She's actually a female. I don't know about that. It looks like a little boy to me, but anyway, it's a female, and she has, I love this card. Let me just unabashedly say right off the bat, this is not me being positive Ash here either, guys. I think it's going to be viable, meta, and strong, hopefully not overpowered, but more importantly, I've been calling on Supercell to add new cards that are new, that add new design mechanics to the game, not more redundant 5 elixir, 4 elixir support cards, and this is definitely new. The easy comparisons would be maybe a Battle Ram mixed with a Goblin Giant mechanic, but there's even more than that. So let me explain before we jump into the gameplay here, guys. I'm going to use the Ram Rider in a bunch of meta decks substituted for Battle Ram, and also in some off-meta funky fast cycle decks, just so you guys can get a feel for the mechanics, because it's unique, again. So let's talk about the Ram itself first, then we'll talk about the Rider. So the Ram is different than Battle Ram in that when it kills its target, it does not self-destruct. It does not destroy. So if it kills a cannon, it will just ram its way into the next defensive unit, usually the Princess Tower. And it only targets buildings, okay? And anything else about the Ram, it charges just like a Battle Ram, and it's really powerful, right? And the Rider, though, is very interesting. She targets everything except for towers, which is really cool, meaning that the Ram can connect with the Princess Tower, and the Rider will just stand there at bay and not attack that Princess Tower until the opponent drops something. Let's say they drop bats. Then the Rider will attack those bats. Not only will she attack those bats at a relatively quick fire rate, but she also has a new ability, a new mechanic added to the game. And you know Supercell, once they add a new mechanic, they like to revisit it, so I bet we'll see more snare cards in the future as well. Snare is a 2-second ability. You can see here, her bola snares enemy troops while Ram heads for the nearest building. So the bola, essentially, her melee attack, kind of like a whip type thing, I don't know what it is, it will stun the target in place. It will not be able to move, but it will be able to fire for 2 full seconds. It's actually really cool when you see it in game. And in a very strange way, it actually a Ram Rider can counter a Ram Rider in a weird way, because they both end up stun locking each other, kind of, with their snare ability. Anyway, guys, that is the card's mechanics. Let's go ahead and jump into some gameplay. So as we enter into this first match, guys, I have to explain the targeting of this card, as it's also incredibly unique. Think of her as almost like crowd control if you're, into those RPG or MMO type games, because what she's going to do is she's going to re-target after she snares her first target, providing there's more than one target in her range. So let me say that in a simpler way. Let's say, you can see, this is her in action here in the right lane. Let's see how full frontage, by the way, huge shot to full frontage. My man, okay, well that's a little bit difficult. He's playing Elite Barbarians against me. Shame on you, full frontage, shame on you. But a big shout to full frontage. He's a great streamer and also a YouTuber. I'll include his information in the show notes below. But back to the targeting. Let's say somebody dropped down barbarians against her. What she's going to do is individually target each of those barbarians one at a time. So she'll target one troop, she'll snare it for 2 seconds, then she'll target another troop, snare it for 2 seconds, and then she'll target a third troop before going back to the first one and snaring that. Her goal, essentially, is to snare all the troops around her to get that Battle Ram to the tower and do that damage. So I think it's the first, I'm pretty sure it's the first, the only troop in the game that actually retargets after it hits one target. So it's unique in that way too. I love how different the card is to anything that exists currently in the game. So here it goes. We're putting some pressure. I thought that he was low on elixir after that defense. I was right. We connect to the tower, doing a ton of damage, and you can see she's just snaring that miner there and just trying to buy more time for that Battle Ram to connect to the tower. It does a lot of damage. damage, or that ram, I shouldn't say battle ram, just the ram. And you can see it did a decent amount of damage. The snare did a decent amount of damage to the miner as well. Now, don't think of the snare as her main attack. Obviously, the ram is the big damage dealer. The snare is just going to help out, again, just by kind of dealing with all the counters, the natural counters to the card. So here we go, it's going to be an E-Wiz. E-Wiz is actually a pretty good counter. They're going to snare the E-Wiz, but remember, when a target is snared, it can still fire. It's not like the stun of the E-Wiz or Zappies, per se. So she connects to that bomb tower. Bomb tower is dead. She's also helping out against that elite barbarian. Notice, she's not targeting the tower. She will never attack the tower. The tower cannot be snared. However, the troops can. So he misses that pull there on that Royal Ghost. I end up taking that left tower down. And this, again, is just a regular meta deck. It's actually the LCOP deck from Nova Esports and CRL. And all I did was I just added the new card for the Battle Ram. So at this point here, I think I have things pretty much in the bag. Relatively easy. You can see the power, potentially, of this new card. I think it could fit into other decks too, not just decks where we traditionally see the Battle Ram in. So let's go ahead and move into another one of those decks and see how she is in a different sort of scenario. So here we go again. Again, big shout out to Full Frontage here. This is going to be the Three Musketeer deck. So I did one more Battle Ram deck. I lied. Let's see how she does in a Battle Ram Three Musketeer deck. This is the Legend deck that I shared on the channel recently, the deck that he got 85 wins with in the, not the current global tournament, the one before that. So here we go. I'm going to pull the Legend. If you guys missed that video, by the way, I'll give it a quick shout out. I'll include it in the show notes as well. But this is Legend's favorite opening play. Ice Golem one side, Bandit the other, Three Musketeers right in the middle. And then after they defend, you can safely pump because they expended too much elixir defending. And that's exactly what happens here against Full Frontage. I haven't used the card yet, but it's 5 elixir. I don't want to be overly aggressive just for the video's sake of showing off the card. So we're going to pump up over here and then see what he does. Potentially, this could be a ram opportunity in the back. Oh, he's going to hit me at the bridge here. So I'm just going to go ahead and respond with a Hunter. He fireballs, but he doesn't get my Hunter. He does connect to my right tower, though. Luckily, Hunter, even with that snare, is able to fire. I keep repeating it, but it's noteworthy here, because sometimes if you don't remember that the cards that are in snare can still fire, it's definitely way OP, right? If they couldn't fire, the card would be the strongest card ever added to the game, in my opinion. But they can still fire. But it works really good against melee troops, as we saw against the Elite Barbarians in the first replay. I like the card. It's just a fresh feel to it. So here comes the Elixir Collector again. I probably shouldn't have placed it there because he has the mortar, but he actually places the mortar a little bit too low there towards his King Tower. So that kind of was a freebie for me on that pump, covering up for my mistake. Thank you, Full Frontage. So I'm going to Hunter right here, trying to evade the fireball. So I put the Hunter up close, and you can see he's still able to connect with that the ram on the right tower. So all of a sudden I'm at a little bit of an HP deficit here, and I can't Three Musketeer behind because I know he has fireball. Actually, he doesn't have fireball in hand, so that's when I pull the LCOP move here in double elixir time. I'm getting ready to Three Musketeer. You can see up here near the river, and this is going to be a very difficult push for Full Frontage to stop here. He has that mortar. It's going to pull the ram all the way over to the right lane, but again, it doesn't die once it connects. It just keeps doing damage, and then it's going to move on to the tower. I don't mind if I do. Unfortunately, it does not connect, but I still get a lot of damage onto that left tower, taking it down to 902 HP. So what decks do you guys think this card will fit in? What decks are you excited to try this new card? And again, as I mentioned in the opening, I'm really hoping Supercell gives us a free continue, or not a free, ooh, that'd be awesome, right? A continue option so you guys can unlock this new legendary card. The bad news is it's legendary. It's a little bit more difficult to level up. The good news is once you unlock it, you should be able to play this card at level 1. You know, is providing you're not at the very top of ladder and still have success with it. It's that good of a card, at least in my opinion, and I've been wrong before, but I don't know. What are your first impressions of the card, guys? Let me know if you feel like it's OP, it's just really strong, or you're underwhelmed by it, or not a fan of it for some reason. Certainly, look at this. That's what I'm talking about on defense. I mentioned in the opening, guys, that a ram can kind of counter a ram in a weird way, and that's exactly what happened there. Full Frontage is able to use his to kind of stymie mine on that mortar. So now we're going to go ahead and hit him with a Ram Rider in the left lane. Ram Rider looks to probably going to be connecting here. Let's see. Nope, he counters with another Ram Rider. So that's very, very interesting, right? So the Ram Rider basically totally ensnares my Ram Rider. It's an interesting mechanic that you don't usually see in the game. So I'm just going to 3 Musketeer here. I'll take the charge. I'm fine with it with the 3 Muskies. Both of my towers are low, but I think I have Full Frontage right where I want him here. I'm going to Bandit in the right, and I'm going to go ahead and ram and send in the log. So a big push here. But again, defensively, something that we're not used to seeing out of, like, certainly a battle ram. Defensively, this card can certainly come in handy. It's really nice. It will stop and stun, you know, and stun its opponents. That's why I really, really enjoy it there, and you can see that on the last push. So here he goes. The Bandit does connect to that mortar there, and now we have a Hunter reloaded. I get 1 Muskie hit, only 1, unfortunately, in that left lane. This is turning into a battle, ladies and gentlemen. I have 715 remaining on my tower, 374 remaining on his. I decide at this point, okay, it's probably time to start fireball cycling here. I just want to find the right opportunity. I'm looking for him to give me maybe a little bit of value. Maybe I'm getting greedy here with 1:07 left. I could essentially just fireball log cycle probably a little bit earlier than I ended up doing, but let's see how I play this out here at the end of the match. So Muskie does not connect, but I clip one of those girl rascals. And again, Snare coming in handy. Look at her fire rate, guys. She fires pretty quickly. And again, she's ready against those bats as well. She will not target that mortar. She's ready after the ram is engaging with that mortar. She'll use her attack to take care of those bats. Now it's time to start cycling here. I've had enough. All I need is 2 fireballs. Come on, Ash. Stop drawing out this video, dude. I won't add extra ads just for that, just so I can make a point that I didn't do it for the ads. But finally, we do snare on snare crime here in the right lane, and then boom, fireball goes down. That's going to end that match. Whew. That was a long one, guys. Let's go ahead and hop into the next match and see which deck I went with for match number 3 against Full Frontage here with a new card in Clash Royale. It is going to be, I forgot which order I shared these in. Oh, this is a very interesting one, guys. And I think this is the cool thing about the card is because it's not necessarily as offensive as a battle ram, you can still use it kind of in a weird way defensively in counter push with it as well. I think that it could be cool in like a Mega Knight deck like this. So Full Frontage is running a graveyard deck. Now, I have to say, guys, the best counter against this card is definitely Skarmy or Minion Horde. Super swarmy units. Here we kind of have an even trade. His graveyard really got me down to 955 there, but I'm able to get a lot of damage on his right tower too, taking it down to 702. I'm just going to go ahead and cycle a baby dragon in the back here and wait for him to make the next move. I like having the Mega Knight in this deck too, because the Mega Knight actually does pretty well against the Ram Rider. He messes up with those minions there. Thank you, Full Frontage. I appreciate that. Trying to make me look good in my video. Hats off, kind sir. So we're going to drop a Mega Minion in the back here. Again, just kind of cycling at this point. I want to get some more Ram Riders on the board here, but he's being relentless with his too. And I see his Ram Rider. I'm like, okay, I see you, man. I'm going to Ram Rider your Ram Rider. And then I have Skarmy ready too. Skarmy just does such a great job. It's not it looks like it should be a splash damage that she's firing, but it's not. It's just a very fast fire rate. You can see only targeting 1 minion at a time, and she alternates between each of those minions. That was a perfect example right there on the left side of the screen, guys, to see how she only targets 1 unit at a time. Again, that would make her really OP if she had like an executioner like axe there. Yeah, no thank you. That would be that would change her from a really unique cool card to a card that I would definitely hate to see in the game. But here we go. It's going to be a baby dragon coming through. I'm going to respond to that with a Mega Minion, and then I'm going to start putting some pressure on with a Ram Rider in the pocket. Ram Rider in the pocket. I'm going to have to get used to saying that. The only thing that when it dies, it's dead. Again, I mentioned this a few times in the video already, but it's noteworthy. It's noteworthy that it's not like she's spawning barbarians. She does seem way more powerful than a battle ram at first glance, but then when you factor in the fact that there's no barbarians afterwards, it's a little bit more even. But she is a legendary card, hence all the extra added bonuses to the card. This is an old philosophy of Supercell that a lot of you guys probably already know, but they say that legendary cards should not be more powerful. Look at this. Look at the ending of this match, guys. He poisons, but yeah, man. 2 baby dragons, a mirrored baby dragon, a mega minion on the tower. Thank you very much, full frontage. OP. Not really, I'm just kidding. So yeah, as I was saying there, the Supercell philosophy is that legendary cards should not be inherently more powerful than epic or rare or common cards. They should just be more complex. And this card definitely hits that mark in my opinion, seeing as how she does have a number of unique abilities. The charge ability, the snare ability, and the fact that she doesn't target buildings and the ram does target buildings. I think you add all that together and it makes sense. This time, he was able to sneak by my skeleton army. So I was like, okay, you gotta be fast. You gotta be fast. You can counter her with just a skeleton army, but you have to be really fast. Even the Royal recruits, you can see that my ram went right through the recruits thanks to that snare ability, just buying more time again, just temporarily stunning all of those recruits around her. So again, the skeleton's just kind of pulling everything together. I'm ready here, a minute in. I'm feeling good. I want to make this an undefeated stretch here against my man full frontage, but I see those zappies and I'm like, okay, now you can stop my ram charge. So how am I gonna play this? I use a skeleton barrel in the back, and then I think I'm just gonna go ahead and cycle here in the back as well with some bats. I have my ram ready, and he does too. I'm gonna hit him opposite lane with my ram rider, and then I can deal with his ram rider with my Skarmy. And if he counters my Skarmy with a log or something, well, he uses log on offense, and there it is. Again, you can see that stun ability against that witch while the battle ram, or the ram, excuse me, is going to town on that left tower. So the witch actually pulls a 180, a reverse turn. I'll help out there against that Skarmy. No big deal. I got you, full frontage. Ooh, shame on you, witch. Shame on you. So I'm going to skeleton barrel counter this witch. A little unorthodox. By the way, side note, I do love the witch's star look. I like, she's one of the cards that I really do enjoy that skin on her. So here we go. It's going to be a ram again, snaring everything in its path. Can even snare the zappies, just too many units. She couldn't get to the tower that time, because think about it. There was a bunch of recruits and 2 zappies, and she still almost got to the tower. So that's the power of the card, perfectly illustrated there. So no predictive log that time from full frontage, and I'm able to counter again with the Skarmy, really leaning heavily on the Skarmy. And just to keep that log out of his rotation, what I'm trying to do is cycle skeleton barrels in the back. I think the skeleton barrel kind of has a weird, almost unique synergy with this card. I don't know why, but like every deck that I used, I tested it with the skeleton army, worked out. Look at that! Double log, and she got to that tower there. That was beautiful. And then meanwhile, I'm able to defend on my end with just a couple logs and skeletons. So again, he has the lead here with 10 seconds left in regulation as time is ticking down, but I'm still feeling pretty good. Part of me is tempted to just to mirror a Ram Rider here, but I don't end up doing so. Instead I'm going to send in the bats. I'm going to send in the skeleton barrel, try to prevent him from using his log against the rider, and we do connect for some damage against that right tower. I'm not too worried about his push. I have Skarmy, guys, and he just uses log again, so I'm ready for it, right? And remember, that Ram Rider will not target my tower, so it's not like I have to worry about a bunch of extra damage from the rider. Now I'm going to go on the offensive, on the aggressive. I know he doesn't have enough elixir for the recruits, so he has the witch in him, but I'm going to connect. Boom! 400 damage. Make it another 206 from that second hit, and there it is, guys. That's the new card in action. I hope you enjoyed this gameplay video. I really love this new card. Let me know again what you think of it in the comments below. Huge shout out to Full Frontage again for helping me out with this video, and a shout out to Supercell for allowing me to deliver this card and have access to the developer build so you guys can get a sneak peek at it. And of course, last but not least, my YouTube partner Bren Chong. Check out his information as well in the description below. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.